It's that time of the week again. Time for the only segment in boxing that gives you the facts and makes you laugh. It's Clapback Thursday. Okay, so I'm slammed this week in Dallas promoting Virgil Ortiz. We have his press conference coming up in a few hours live on the Zone. But news came out this week that I cannot ignore. And one of my enemies is in boiling hot shit. And I mean that stinky, smelly, hot lava coming out of me like lava. Cow dung fire out of my ass type of shit.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm talking about. So, my friend Dana White and the UFC are being investigated by the FBI for allegedly fixing over 100 fights.
100.
With the latest one over the weekend, that was incredibly suspicious. I mean, wow. Is anybody really surprised?
Hell no.
No.
Told you, all he wants is our money.
Ariel Helwani, who is the voice of MMA, spent the last few days digging deeper into this matter.
And my understanding is that this is not an isolated incident. And what I mean by that is I have talked to multiple people who have either experienced or know of others who experienced situations where they have been approached about their willingness to do something like this. So I have been told by multiple people that they have been approached, they have been talked to and said, are you interested in this? Are you interested in throwing a fight for X amount of dollars?
I've been trying to tell you guys, these TKO guys are scumbags. And now they're trying to change the Muhammad Ali Act to fuck boxers over. Get the fuck out of our sport.
Now get the fuck out of here.
Everything you touch turns to absolute shit.
He's shit everywhere.
And now you have the FBI crawling up your ass? Good fucking luck. I mean, look, is there any young boxer who is crazy enough to fuck their careers by signing with your shit league?
No.
They want their own rules. They want their own belt, their own ring, their own sanction to do exactly what they've done with the UFC.
It's all a fugazi.
Which landed them a $400 million suit from former fighters and now a federal investigation into illegal activity.
We just had an office full of FBI agents in here.
I mean, we'll see how that pans out. Dana's shirt is definitely stressed at this point, and he's having a terrible week. But guess what?
Not me. I'm in my prime.
I'm having a great week. See you Saturday, live on the Zone from Dallas-Fort Worth. Virgil Ortiz. Let's go. So just remember, kids, you're never a hater if you only speak the facts.
The UFC is under fire right now. Reports are exploding that the FBI has been contacted after suspicious betting patterns emerged in a recent fight. And now, one of boxing's biggest names is blasting the head of the UFC for what's happening. Yeah, this isn't just a bad night, guys. I mean, this could shake up the entire world of combat sports as we know it, and especially for the foundation of mixed martial arts. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Duality 7X. I'm Sheeraz. We're going to dig into this story like we dig into a lot of trending stories across the world of combat sports, from UFC to boxing and everything in between. If you're new here, make sure to smash that like and subscribe and turn on your notifications, because the story that we're about to talk about today might be one of the biggest scandals to rock the UFC in years, and serious implications for the sport as whole. So let's talk about this, guys. Let's start with actually what went down during UFC Vegas. We're going to go back in time here. UFC Vegas 110, featherweight fighter Isaac Dulgurian faced off against Yadir Davel. And before the fight even started, sportsbooks actually noticed something a little bit strange. There was a sudden flood of late bets coming into the mix, and big money coming in for Daval to win, and not just straight up either, right? But to win in the first round, or like a parlay, right? So not even just like going to win the fight, but a lot of people were voting on a parlay that this fighter was going to win in this round, and he was going to win by this submission or by way of knockout. I mean, this kind of stuff is what really freaks out a lot of sports bookies, and it freaks out sports betting folks, or the people in the operations team that kind of run these things, right? Because this is where you get a lot of red flags. And when you have a lot of red flags and you got sports betting and you mix the two, it's not good. And this is where the FBI kind of steps in. So yeah, it wasn't good. And then Duvall, and during that fight, actually went on to win in the first round via submission, right? So within hours, betting regulators and integrity monitors, and I mean, they flogged this fight as suspicious activity. And the UFC reportedly reached out to the FBI, right? So that's good on them. And Dulgarian was swiftly cut from the promotion. Now his payout may now be withheld from the investigation, while the investigation actually pays out. And I think these things are important. You know, anytime a fighter has been accused of any wrongdoing, I think it's important that the purse be withheld from the fighter until the investigation completes. So I think so far the UFC is doing all the right things. They reached out to the FBI. FBI is launching an investigation. Dulgarian's purse has been put on hold until the investigation plays out, and we'll see what kind of comes out of that. So if you ask me, guys, this is not just a bad night for one athlete, but it's a warning flare for the entire sport. Because we heard this, I mean, look at the stories that kind of are circulating from the NBA, right? And it's really unfortunate, but there's been a lot of I guess people trying to, I'm not going to say circumvent the system, but taking advantage of sports betting in their favor. And I'm sure, folks, there's been so many instances where people have been able to get away with it. But, I mean, look, let's be real here, right? Betting scandals, they're not new in sports, right? But in combat sports, it's a little harder to kind of pull this stuff off. And the reason for that is because you're not just betting on a team to win. You're actually betting on individual fighters, right? Who literally are risking their bodies in these fights. So to be able to call the exact round that a fighter is going to win, the way they're going to win, sometimes that gets a little bit tricky. And I'm not talking about early fight predictions. Like Muhammad Ali was very candid. He was very famous for going on the record of saying how he was going to knock somebody out or how he's going to win a fight and in which round. Now, he wouldn't get it right all the time, but sometimes he got it right. So anyways, when somebody intentionally loses, or even if a fight looks rigged, then it completely destroys the credibility of the sport altogether. And unlike the NBA, NHL, NFL, like anything that's team-oriented, when you have individual fighters that are involved in scandals like this, it actually it puts more of a magnifying glass on those individuals and on that organization. And already combat sports has a black eye, right? I mean, already people look at combat sports. I mean, there's so many people on the wings wanting to make changes, wanting to do all kinds of things. And a lot of it rightfully so. It should be all about, like player, fighter safety and their health. But there's a lot of people who want to shut down these entities altogether. So when things like this happen, it doesn't help. It doesn't really help the cause for these organizations that are operating within the world of combat sports and sports entertainment. So for fans, for fighters who do not train hard and care about their craft, this is a complete, utter nightmare. It erodes trust, and it's not. I mean, when I see those kind of things happen, it's a big letdown to the point where I don't even know if I really want to follow this individual anymore. Or I mean, I want to, like, I can't speak to the efficacy of these fighters' training habits and what all that they do in the background. I can tell you from a lot of the reports that I read and from the people that we know about who are in the scene, there's a lot of layers of effort and complexity that goes into fighters trying to make weight, their nutrition, their training camp, all the things that they need to do, dotting their I's, crossing their T's, putting their fight strategy plans together, and not even having one plan, having a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. And there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. For us, we just count down the days before that fight actually happens. But for a fighter, this is probably the most stress that they're putting not only on their physical well-being, on their bodies, how much burden goes on, and especially when somebody's trying to cut weight. People don't understand the magnitude of how serious that is, and how harmful that could be on somebody's body, and how some people don't even recoup. They don't even recover from that. And so that's the physical part. And then what about the mental part, right? There's a whole mental aspect of it as well, too. This is why some fighters have very short-lived careers, right? So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So when we find out of a fighter who's really taking advantage, almost it seems like they're spending most of their time in the casino when they should be in the gym, or they go to the gym for 45 minutes maybe, or an hour, but most of that time it's just socializing, talking to people, getting their straps tied up and everything, and then they do a few submission practices on the ground, and then they're out, take a shower, and then they go hit a nice restaurant, go hit the media, go back to the casino. That stuff kind of concerns me, right? And there's fighters who do that. There are. And look, some fighters are just really gifted. They don't really need to train as hard as the next person. I'm not saying you need to be in the gym for 8 hours every day leading up to a fight. No, you don't. But I want to see that somebody's actually put in the time, put in the effort, put in the work, because then that tells me, that instills confidence in me, knowing that these guys are going to do what they're supposed to do. And I mean, if you're a betting fan, then that just actually gives you more peace of mind that you're going to put your bet on that particular individual. So anyways, that's why, look, when it comes to the UFC's leadership, they're good in that sense, right? Dana White's got a team of well-rounded individuals, very intelligent people who understand the integrity of the sport, their culture, their environment, and more importantly, their business, right? So when you have these kind of integrity partners that you're surrounded by, they treat this crowd very, very seriously, right? They monitor what's going on, right? And so it's not just about odds and results and pockets and patterns and coaching relationships and all the gym affiliations and marketing and all the other stuff that kind of goes into potential manipulation. There's a lot of other stuff that people try to do to circumvent the system. But when you got people around you who are watching this stuff, who are monitoring this stuff, and they've got eyes on it so they can actually relay any concerns, red flags back to, say, Dana White or the powers to be, I think that's really important. And that's what kind of separates a really good organization from a very weak one, right? So if you've been following the UFC closely, then you know this isn't the first time betting and fight-fixing allegations have made the headlines, right? I mean, it's happened before, back in 2022, when Derek Minor and Shailen Norbaki, when they fought, this fight actually brought about huge red flags, and to the point where Norbaki was starting to win really early, but then Minor shows up and injured, but barely lasted around and got finished fast, right? So I mean, that scandal hit the airwaves. I mean, it rocked the world of the UFC and combat sports. And I mean, the whole infamous James Krause case, right? Krause, who coached Minor, was accused of running a betting operation and allegedly leaking inside info, the money, the bets, the injuries, everything pointed in one particular direction. How, I was gonna say something really bad, but how dumb does a person have to be, for them to leak all of that stuff out? Are you stupid? Those things are gonna come back and they're gonna get you. But anyway, and Dana White doesn't play, guys. The UFC, they don't play when it comes to this stuff. Just like what happened with the Bulgarian fight, UFC reached out. They reached out to the FBI and they're like, hey, you need to investigate this. There's something going on here. When it comes to people's money and when it comes to public operations and sports betting, they don't play either. This is big. This is a big deal. Really big deal. So anyways, the UFC responded. They banned the fighters and the coaches, especially for those who and for betting on fights entirely, of course. And Krause was effectively blacklisted from the from the sport. Like what? Like how unbelievably stupid you have to be to put yourself in a situation where you get completely disbarred from the organization that you spend so much time and effort in working in. Like that is the lowest thing that could potentially, that somebody could actually go through. Absolutely stupid. And it's not like, okay, you didn't do good, at your job, your performance sucked and you got fired. Okay, you move on, go to another job, that's it. But in this situation, you put such a black eye on the sport. You embarrassed your fighters, you embarrassed your team, you embarrassed yourself. And what happens? You get disbarred from one of the best fighting organizations on the planet. Well, good, like shame on you, and hopefully that individual never ever steps foot in a gym again or mentors or tries to train anybody ever again. Anyhow, fast forward to now, it feels like deja vu. I mean, except for this time, the stakes are obviously a lot higher in light of everything that's going on right now with the NBA. And you heard of Chauncey Phillips and all these folks that are potentially involved in this betting scandals. Investigations are going on. Why? Why are they doing this? Absolutely ridiculous. It's mind-blowing. These guys already make hand over fist money, and then they have to go do stupid things like this for what? A couple $100,000, a few $100,000, the price of their, like one of their cars. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, if you guys have comments, like if you guys have any theories as to why somebody would want to do this when they're already doing well financially, I'd love to hear it. I mean, who knows? I'm saying that I'm assuming they're doing well financially. Just because they make millions, that doesn't necessarily mean they're doing well financially. They could be spending a lot of their time in the casinos, gambling their hard-earned dollars, just pissing it away, and then next thing you know, they're like $1.5–2 million in debt to the casino. Like that's not good at all, right? I mean, that really sucks, But anyhow, I mean, for the bigger fighters who make umpteens of like tens and 20, $30 million a year, it probably doesn't even faze them. But what about the folks that don't make as much money? But I mean, anyways, look, gambling addiction is a problem, guys. And there's a lot of resources, there's a lot of support services in place to be able to help people with those very things. But this is what I call circumventing the system. This is what I call taking advantage of the platform in your favor. And I don't know, they probably thought they weren't going to get caught. Well, they got caught. And here we are. So Ariel Helwani, right? Ariel Helwani, he's an MMA journalist. He's unbelievable at what he does. He revealed that multiple fighters have told him that they were actually approached, offered money to throw fights inside of the UFC octagon. Right? So just let that sink in for just a second, guys. These fighters are admitting that people reached out to them and told them to just throw the fight and compensate in return for compensation. Wow. So we don't know exactly who made these offers or who might have accepted them, but the very existence of those approaches is absolutely huge. I mean, it suggests that this is more than just one bad fight. It suggests it's obviously a network of multiple individuals, probably worldwide, and so this is definitely going to go deeper and wider than most people think, right? So if you combine all of that with what's happening at UFC Vegas or what happened at UFC Vegas 110, it points out a picture that the UFC simply cannot ignore anymore, right? And again, right, kudos to the UFC for really calling this out and being proactive on this, because Dana White's, he's invested a lot of time and effort into his brand. I don't think for one he's gonna screw it up over over a fight like this. No. Anyhow, here's another layer that I'm just going to add to this, but legendary Golden Gloves champion, former world champion Oscar De La Hoya, who's also a promoter as well too with Golden Boy. I mean, he's not just watching all of this from the sidelines. He's actually using this as a platform to call out the president of the UFC, Dana White, and in no uncertain terms. But I mean, on De La Hoya's Instagram, he actually posted that, you know, with the latest one over this weekend, that was incredibly suspicious. I mean, wow, is anybody really surprised? And he goes on to say that, I've been trying to tell you guys that the TKO guys are scumbags. Now they're trying to change the Muhammad Ali Act to F boxers over and get the F out of our sport. Everything you touch turns to absolute, you know what. And now they have the FBI crawling up your butt. So he didn't even stop there. I mean, this is like, I mean, is there any young boxer who is crazy enough to F their careers by signing with your S League? They want their own rules. They want their own belt, their own ring. Do exactly what they've done with the UFC, which landed them a $400 million suit from former fighters and now a federal investigation into illegal activity. Now, these are strong, strong words from Oscar De La Hoya. And Oscar De La Hoya, he's been very, very vocal against the president of the UFC for multiple reasons, especially the Muhammad Ali Act, which he feels, which I did a video on actually, and he feels that it's doing nothing but actually hurting boxers, especially fighters coming into the sport and fighters that are already in the sport. The whole point of the Muhammad Ali Act is to really provide that security and the resources and the support structure that these fighters need to be able to protect them. And he's complaining that the TKO group is trying to amend those rules or to change those rules so that it's more in favor of them and not their fighters. I mean, it's kind of like a union type of issue. And so anyways, that's a whole different conversation as well. But I mean, very, very strong words from the Golden Boy himself. And look, you know, he's just, I mean, whether he's trying to put a spotlight on what's going on and pushing the narrative, I mean, look, this doesn't seem like it's just like an internal matter, because now there's a lot of external critics all across the board who are now demanding accountability. And I'm not just talking about people within the world of combat sports, but I'm talking about people in the world of sports entertainment and even other genres of sports. And people are actually coming together and saying enough is enough. We need to really get together, figure this out collectively and in a comprehensive manner that actually does a deep dive into some of these deep-rooted issues and really look at it from the bottom up and from the top down, so that they can get a better understanding in terms of what's going on, so that they can be in a better position to find solutions. And I think that's absolutely important when it comes to accountability. I think we definitely need more of that. So the question comes down to is what's actually happening now. The UFC and its integrity partner, which is a company called IC360, are reportedly combining through all relevant data, betting lines, wagers, gym trainer affiliations, fighter communication, correspondence, social media activity, marketing, and even regulation commission logs. It's absolutely insane, guys. And while the FBI is also doing their investigation, the UFC has reportedly met with the FBI agents. We know that President Dana White has publicly confirmed the cooperation between them and the FBI and their integrity partners, and their sharing and the sharing of all this data. So hopefully we can get some more understanding and answers in a relatively quicker time. So regulatory bodies, for example, in Nevada and possibly other states, could also step in and demand or depending, on what they find, because the regulatory bodies and state commissions, they don't play either. This stuff is very, very serious, and they take these allegations extremely serious, to the point where if they need something, they want any kind of information, they have a right to it. All right, so, and if they determine that there was intentional fight fixing, the consequences are going to be absolutely huge. It's going to be criminal. It is what it is. Fraud, conspiracy, wire fraud. You know, when you're talking about like sports integrity violations, they're very, very heavy and huge in that territory. And so expect some serious, serious ramifications and Yeah, I really think that this could turn into a criminal matter like this, and I wouldn't even be surprised if it's already being investigated and looked at like that. So at the same time, the UFC, you could say, is facing a PR storm because of this. I mean, fighters are nervous. I mean, if you have nothing to do with this, then you shouldn't feel nervous, right? But the fans, this is the thing, right? Once you rub the fans the wrong way, it leaves a bad taste in their mouth, right? And that could mean a loss of potential wages. Like, I mean, there could be a big loss of money that could be coming in potentially to these future fights. If people start to lose interest and they get bored and they just lose confidence in your organization and your brand and what you're doing, that's not a good thing. Okay, and that's when, that's how, like, big organizations and empires have crumbled really from within. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. The UFC is absolutely a very well-oiled machine. They've got all the right people in all the right places, and they really take these allegations and things very seriously. If it's a deep-rooted issue, they're going to find it. They're going to find where it stems from, and they're going to just basically take that root out, and it's gone, kind of like a root canal, and it's done with. And then there's going to be serious ramifications for anyone that was potentially investigated for being a part of any of these kind of scandals and scams, and they'll be uprooted as well too, and out the door. So big stuff coming down the pipe. There's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to, like, future fight sales and like pay-per-view sales and those kind of things, but I can't see anybody getting, I can't see the UFC being affected by this too much, because people understand what's going on, and the UFC has been pretty vocal about or being able to keep their fans updated and all those involved as well, including their stakeholders, right? So that's really important. That's good to know. So what are they going to decide? What's Dana White going to do? I mean, look, he's going to definitely want to clear this up, and he's going to move on, and he'll do a complete full sweep and show transparency where transparency is required. He's definitely proving that they're accountable. He's showing accountability, and if he has to restructure anything, he can definitely restructure the framework of how things are done, to be able to help mitigate and clamp down on any potential shady practices and help really rebuild that trust with its fan base. So I'm not even concerned about that, right? So for fighters who are clean, it's a mixed bag, guys. I don't think they have anything to worry about. For those who aren't, they should be worried. And on one hand, they get a spotlight and they can say, hey, we trained, we earned this, but when the sport around you is under question, every loss, even an honest one, that might potentially be met with suspicion, that's not fair. That could be reality, right? So for fans, this is also a moment of reckoning. Do you keep watching? Do you doubt the outcomes? Do you invest in the narratives and heroes when the possibility of manipulation is, like, lurking in the background? You guys don't have anything to worry about. I mean, come on. We love combat sports. This is why we're here. This is do you really want to see the UFC out? Do you want to see them done? No, you don't. Right? So anyways, for the sport itself, MMA, the UFC, this could define the next decade. It will define the next decade. If they get ahead of this, clean it up, enforce transparency, more accountability, strengthen monitoring, and, they're just going to come out stronger. I mean, once you start rebuilding that trust with your fan base, it's only going to look better for you. If they don't, then they're going to obviously risk erosion, legacy, financial loss, major trust deficits, between them and their stakeholders or partners and their fan base. But that is not going to happen. I'm sure a lot of people who don't like the UFC, don't like the world of MMA or combat sports, they're going to find this as an opportunity to just say, burn it down. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But what do you guys think? This is just an isolated incident, or are we looking at something much more bigger behind the scenes in MMA? Are we just scratching the surface with just some of these couple fights that we talked about? And is there something more of a deep-rooted issue here? And what's the investigation going to pan out? Like with the FBI and all these different organizations working together to really try to find where these issues are. Do you think they're going to unravel more of these kind of illegal sports bettings and fixed fight matches that happen within the UFC? One can only ascertain, right? I mean, but hey, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on it. There's so many great comments that kind of come in. Actually, you know what? I might even actually reach out to some of these folks and see if you guys would be interested in jumping on a quick podcast, because there's some amazing stuff that you guys have to say. Anyways, if you guys want to stay ahead of all the trending headlines in combat sports, please smash a like and subscribe, and make sure you hit the bell notification so that you never miss what's coming next. Anyways, I'm Sheeraz. This is Duality 7X. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay tuned, guys.